everyone, we are at a wine tasting event spotlighting Rioja, Spain's finest wine region. Now I taste quite a few wines within this video. They have all been time-carded and named right down below in the caption for easy access, but I promise you're gonna wanna stick around for all the fun. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hang in there because we are gonna be exploring the wines of Rioja together. Located in northern Spain, the historic Rioja cities of Haro and Logroño are about a 3-hour drive from Madrid. With over 2,000 years of winemaking history, Rioja's deep-rooted wine culture dates back to ancient Rome. In the 50s, 60s, the wineries decided to use a collective wine label, and in 1925, the official Rioja designation of origin was created, guaranteeing the quality and authenticity of the wines from this region. Nestled within the mountain ranges of the Sahara de Cambria in the north and the Sahara de la Demanda in the south, Rioja experiences Atlantic and Mediterranean climates, which is ideal for creating high-quality grapes across the vineyards that go in its 7 river valleys. It's truly a place that showcases amazing winemaking and exceptional terroir. I am such a big fan of the wines of Rioja, and I hear that you are too.
Absolutely.
So I have a skill testing question for you.
Shoot it.
What is the star grape varietal of Rioja?
I'll say Tempranillo.
You are
Hello.
correct. It is the star of Rioja. If Rioja's star grape varietal had a movie title, it would be the triumphant Tempranillo. This indigenous Spanish grape varietal defines the wines of Rioja, where it reaches its fullest potential. Spain's #1 planted grape varietal showcases its elegance and quality within the wines of Rioja, where it can make these wonderful, youthful, and vibrant wines, all the ways to wines that are aged and complex in both traditional and modern styles. Now, while Rioja wines can be 100% Tempranillo, they're often blended with other grapes, including Granacha, Graciano, and Mazuelo, to create wines with layers of complexity. Each one adds a little bit of something else to the blend to showcase the winery and the distinctive terroir. Granacha adds boldness and richness, Mazuelo adds structure and color, and Graciano adds aromas and complexity. Now let's get into 2 wines that showcase Tempranillo and its blending partners. First, we have the Bodegas Crianza. This is a wine that is 93% Tempranillo with Granacha and Mazuelo making up the rest of the blend. Now this is such an iconic wine from Bodegas. It spends 14 months in both French and American oak barrels and 9 months in bottles before it reaches us. And it just showcases such a youthful and refreshing side of Rioja. There's wonderful strawberry and plummy notes in there, a little bit of vanilla and toasted vibes, but it is quite lifted and very fun. Next, we have the La Rioja Alta Vina Ardanza Rioja. Now, this is a little bit different. We have 80% Tempranillo in here, mixed with 20% Granacha, and this is a really historic winery from the Haro Station District. You get 36 months in oak aging for this Reserva, and we get a little bit more intensity here. Little bit of plum and cherry notes with some balsamic hues. On the palate, quite silky and smooth. You can see how all these blending partners come together to create unique wines from Rioja. I found another Rioja wine lover, and I have to ask you, do you know the river that runs through Rioja affecting the wine's character?
Ebro.
Correct, it's the Ebro River. Congratulations.
Yes.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Modern Rioja wines are just a little bit different. They tend to be bolder, more fruit forward, and more richly colored. These are wines that focus on viticulture. You'll see clono selection, reduced yields, and more French barrel oak aging. Overall, these wines can focus solely on Tempranillo, or they could be done in a blend, and they tend to be bigger and bolder. There are 5 main factors to look for, again, if you are drinking a modern Rioja wine. Number 1, they are more boldly colored. They're deeper and fuller in body. Number 2, the winery tends to do more viticultural practices like lower or more minimal intervention farming. Number 3, they tend to be more fuller with more fruit notes, and you get lower spice notes on the back end. Number 4, we see French barrel oak aging and shorter aging periods. And finally, you'll see less of a care for classifications and more of a focus on vineyards and grape varieties. We're really looking to the future with the modern age of Rioja in these styles of wines. Now let's get into 2 wines that showcase the more modern style of Rioja. First, we have Beronia's Reserva. Bodegas Beronia is really quite unique. It's a winery that blends innovation with heritage. They're quite sustainable at the same time, but you see them using both French and American oak aging. You really have a lot of their philosophy coming into this wine. You have this wine that's made from 40-year-old vineyards with that French and American oak together, really exemplifying that modern style. And in the glass, it's a lot more inky in color. You get a lot more fruit-forward notes, lots of berry tones in there. At the same time, that smokiness really comes in right on the back end. Now let's move into the Bodegas Altanza Reserva. This is a winery that started in 1998, and it has exemplified a lot of modern Rioja winemaking. They're very well known for their reservas. This is actually 100% Tempranillo. What could be more modern than that? And when we get into the glass, you get 100% Tempranillo in its vibrancy, this earthy, tomatoey, leafy quality to it, but at the same time, these underripe berries, on the palate is just so lifted and fun. It's great to see how modern Rioja can do in the glass. Traditional Rioja wines are known for their extended aging in American oak barrels. They are defined by blends dominated by Tempranillo, and these light to medium-bodied wines tend to have more spice-driven notes. Overall, there are 5 main factors to tell if you are drinking a traditional style Rioja wine. Number 1, this is a wine that has a lot more winery and winemaking practices. They tend to be aged and fermented in barrel. They also tend to be long aged in both barrel and bottle, and you'll see a lighter colored wine overall. And finally, its flavors tend to be silky, spice driven with toasted, smoky notes. That's what defines a traditional Rioja. Now let's get into 2 wines that showcase the traditional style of winemaking in Rioja. First, we have the Lopez de Heredia Vina Bosconia Reserva. This is the 2013 vintage. This is such a unique winery. It's been around since 1877, and it epitomizes this traditional style of winemaking in Rioja. We have Tempranillo blended with Granacha, Graziano, and Mazzuelo, and it comes from their 58-year-old El Bosque vineyard. It's also aged for 5 years on American oak. Such a traditional style. And this, you get this wonderful combination of fruit and spice. It almost gives this Pinot-like vibe in the glass. Truly delicious. Now let's move over to the Muga Reserva. Bodegas Muga is one of the historic wineries, part of the Haro Station district in Rioja, and they are so well known for their use of oak from fermentation all the way into aging. They actually have their own cooperage, so they really do control their use of oak from start to finish. This is their beautiful Reserva. It's really quite well done. We have these lovely fruit quality to it, but also a lot of like smokiness and earthiness, and that's what we really get from that traditional style. All right, I have one more for you. It's a little bit more skill testing. Are you ready?
Oh, I think so. Let's do it.
The Gran Reserva wines of Rioja, are they based on terroir or aging?
I'll put my money on aging.
And you are correct. Look at you go. You are clearly a Rioja queen.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, cheers. Rioja wines are defined by their aging process. It's one of the unique things about this region. Whether you're going to be drinking a Rioja wine tonight or cellaring it for the future, the wines that you see on store shelves are ready to be enjoyed from that very moment. That has everything to do with the aging qualities in Rioja wine. You know, there's Rioja Generico, it has a green label on the back of the bottle. Those have no aging requirements, but once you get into Crianza, the red label on the back of the bottle, you will find that the wine will be aged for 2 years overall with 1 year in oak. For Reserva, it's aged for 3 years overall with 1 year in oak. And finally, for Gran Reserva, you will find that this wine is aged for 5 years with 2 years in oak barrels and 2 years in bottles. Now, most of the time, Rioja wines extend these aging processes, going beyond them to create the wines that they would like. But Gran Reserva, the most focused and the longest age of Rioja wines, brings together this old world charm and elegance into the glass. It's truly a fabulous wine style. Our oldest wines yet. Let's taste some Gran Reserva. We're actually going to start off with the Faustino y Gran Reserva 2014. This already tells you how old this wine is. Faustino is one of the largest wineries and one of the most storied wineries in Rioja. This wine itself is made from grapes grown in the renowned Rioja Alavesa region, and it spends more than 5 years aging before it makes it to our glasses. So let's get into this wine. I love these kind of toasted, easy fruit notes. You get this harmony with age, and it just showcases that in the glass. When we get to the palate, I could drink that all day. Now, let's move on to an even older Gran Reserva. We're in 2010 with the Bodegas Valdemar, Conde Valdemar Gran Reserva Rioja. This is a winery that was started in 1889. They have 5 generations, and they make their wines from their own vineyards. We have Tempranillo with all of its blending partners in here, Grenache, Graziano, and Manzuelo, and it spends a ton of time aging. There is already tertiary characteristics moving into that bricky color. On the nose, you have this combination of fruit that almost feels like it's been soaking in alcohol, like those maraschino cherries, with this toasty earthiness. Oh. And that finish is just so divine, so silky, so smooth, absolutely fabulous. You know, Rioja is not just known for its beautiful aged red wines, it also makes fabulous rosés, high quality whites, and beautiful sparkling wines too. The next time you're thinking about what to pair with a meal, think about Rioja. Their wines are so versatile and great for any palate. They can pair with everything from Mediterranean cuisines all the way to fusion foods. You know, this has been a very different video for us, but I have really enjoyed it, and I hope that you have as well. Leave us a comment right down below, and of course, cheers everyone!